Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How the devil are you doing this fine day? It is a fine day as well. Sun shining outside. Fridge just on his way to golf. It's looking good out there. How are we all this morning? Hope you're all fit and well. Let's have a look. Who do we have in our midst? I'm sure I saw Jim. Yeah, Jim is there. Jim Turner. Mark Whiting is here. Chris Ford is here. Morning all. Better weather soon. Good Lord. Yeah, well, we've been watching the weather over in Las Vegas, and it's looking pretty damn good, I have to say. Around about the mid-20s, which will be absolutely fantastic. And also looking forward to that is Ken Hatchett, although he is enjoying some sunny weather down in Wales. Not as sunny as Las Vegas, though. Yes, Ken will be strutting along the strip in next to no time. Mark Whiting is here as well. And Gary says, not long now, has the excitement started? Yeah, it really has. Started here because there are four members of my family going. It's me, Fred, my wife, and my daughter. So the excitement has started over that. But I think more recently, we've been speaking to some of the people we're working with. We've actually been on the blower this morning to the fine folks at XCMG, just laying our final plans on what we're going to be doing and when and where and everything else. And it is feeling very, very real now. It's just moments away. I do have the small matter of tomorrow and Friday to get out of the way. So tomorrow is my penultimate show for whatever it is, 11 days or something. And then I'm heading on up to Leeds for the Institute of Demolition Engineers spring seminar. Got that for Friday, so I won't be here on Friday. Back again, and then it's time to pack the bags. To repack the bags. I actually mentioned to Gary in the chat before the show started, because he was here before we actually kicked off. I'm spending a night in a hotel tomorrow night, back home the night after that. Then I've got 8-9 nights in hotel in Las Vegas. I get back for 2 days, and then I'm flying to Verona in Italy, where I've got another 2 days in hotel room. So around about the 14th, around about the 14th of March, I would have spent almost 100% of my March in hotel rooms. Yeah. Ken says, are we doing a show in Las Vegas? No. In actual fact, one of the things that we've got planned with XCMG, they want us to do a live stream from their stand, which more than happy to do. But we've basically said to them, we'll do it if the internet allows, if we can get enough signal to do it. The XMG's stand is quite big, so what they want me to do is to basically walk around and describe what it is I'm looking at and speak to the people and everything else, which I'm more than happy to do. Let's face it, as you can clearly see, I quite like the sound of my own voice. But it might all go pear-shaped if we can't get any coverage. We will do our best. If push comes to shove, we'll record the damn thing and we'll do it when we get back. Gary says, is Lee Bear going with you? Lee Bear is going with me. Yeah, it is. It's me, my wife, Fred, and Courtney, who is my youngest daughter, all going for very different reasons. Me and Fred are obviously going for work, although my wife does keep describing it as when we go on holiday. Holiday for her, not so much for me. Courtney basically wants to go and eat in all the places that she's seen on Instagram. And Ruth apparently wants to just go and gamble away our life savings in the slot machines. She did remarkably well last night. I think last time she came back from Vegas, I think she was about $700 up. But she found a type of slot machine. It's called a Buffalo. I won't bore you. But she found where it happened to be Buffalo slot machines on our cruise ship. So obviously, being the expert that she is, she decided to have a go there, and she came away from there $850 up. So yeah, the slot machines thus far have treated her remarkably well. Although I was reading the thing the other day. Ken, this is a cautionary tale for you. I don't know if you are a gambling type. I certainly aren't. Apparently, the machines in Vegas have been tweaked to pay out just a bit less and just a bit less frequently. So yes, I shall be giving them a wide berth. Never gambled a cent. Can't see the point, but listen, each to their own. So today is our penultimate show before that big break. Got a packed show for you today, another show for you tomorrow, and then that's me done for whatever it is. Best part of 2 weeks. I'll keep you posted on when we're coming back, but just so you know, don't come here next week expecting to see my happy smiling face, because my happy smiling face will be about 6,000 miles away. What do we got here in the chat? Who dat? I'm going to have a go on Buffalo. Well, don't mention that to my wife, because she will definitely, definitely, definitely tell you how to. I don't blame her. I reckon I'd be troughing my way through Vegas too. Yeah, well, I have to say, does she still call this show the shit show? Yes, she does. She does do that. No question about it. Oh, please don't go. Please. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I've got to go. Work calls. Is it true they stop serving drinks to you as long as you keep gambling? Not seen that for a little while, actually. That used to be a real function of Vegas. If you were sat at a slot machine, I mean, it wasn't just drinks. You could order food, get a burger delivered to your slot machine, and it was free of charge because they want you to keep gambling, keep gambling. I kind of feel like that's either gone out of fashion, or we're doing the wrong type. I've noticed recently that some of the Las Vegas casinos, and all of the major hotels have got casinos, like in the Luxor where we're staying. There is a casino on the ground floor, slot machines, poker tables, blackjack tables, all roulette, all the things you'd expect. But there's also, tucked away to one side, what they refer to as the high roller area. I think the high rollers, who are, they're bunging thousands of dollars at the gambling. I'm fairly sure they still get treated like VIPs, and they get the free food and drink. I think if you're betting 20, 30, $40 at a time, I think they're less inclined to do that. And ultimately, I think a lot of it is down to COVID. They're still making up for all that they lost at COVID. Very, very quickly, just as a recap, you will recall 2020, which is kind of how this show came to be. 2020, we left the Luxor, and it absolutely heaving with people. I mean, it holds, I think there's about 3,000 bedrooms. So if you think general occupancy, maybe two per room. So about 6,000 people plus staff, plus interlopers and stuff. So lots and lots of people. We went from there to the airport, getting out of Dodge because COVID had made landfall and everything else. And Fred went off to LA, had a night in LA before they basically closed America. So he flew back to Vegas. And because it was the thing that he knew, he went to the Luxor. And he walked into the reception of the Luxor, and he was the only person there. They'd gone from 6,000 people milling about to no people at all. That's what. So, all that being said, I would imagine they are still licking their financial wounds and trying to make up some money. Apparently, my other half just said you get offered drinks, but they expect a hefty tip, so not really free. Everything in America expects a hefty tip, to the point where I mean, I don't know if you've ever experienced this. They will, if you undertip a waiter or a waitress, they will actually call you on it. What's wrong? Why have you only tipped me 10% or 15%? They expect 20% pretty much as a minimum. In other words, you are propping up the staff because the casinos and the restaurants and the hotels aren't paying them enough. Yeah. And there is Gary saying, good morning to my other half. Yes, good morning indeed. Good morning indeed. Should we crack on? Because I've already been talking for 10 minutes and I've done no work at all so far. So without further ado, let me roll the intro and get the show on the road. Yep, Dan, rightly saying that is their wage. I'm not entirely sure why we should be paying their wage, given the fact that we don't employ them. Listen, I'm more than happy to, and the service is exceptionally good in the States, to be honest, and in Vegas in particular, because they are living on tips. They do tend to go the extra mile. But should they not be receiving a minimum wage anyway? which is why you've got people living in storm drains in America, in Vegas. They sleep in a storm drain, get themselves all tucked up and ready for work, and then go and wait on people like this guy. Hardly seems fair, does it? Very few things in life that are truly free. Jim, you are looking at a free show right now. Purely because I haven't figured out a way to charge you to watch this old nonsense. But yeah, you are. Especially in somewhere like Vegas. Now, listen, America, it is the country of capitalism. Everything is driven by consumerism, and nowhere is that more evident than in Las Vegas. Absolutely everything is geared towards getting the money out of your pocket and into theirs. And yet I still love it. Weird, right? It is Wednesday, the 25th of February. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. I had a sign for that just a moment ago. Where'd that go? There we are. I can never do this, right? There we are. I'm doing it back to front. The Walrus of Demolition, the Lord High Chancellor of live streaming, the authentic voice of the global demolition industry. And in today's show, engineering in the trenches with the mighty John Deere. Volvo takes the old and makes it new again. We've got it's only a short film, but I've got to say, Encon and a really sleek-looking black Hitachi. It's a combo that you'll enjoy, I think. And our MB Crusher sponsored Countdown to Conexpo series continues with X-Spanner. Imagine the word spanner, but with an X instead of the S. It's X-Spanner. They're one of the companies that we're going to be working with while we're in the States. So looking forward to that, and I'll be showing you all about that in just a moment. Plus, in today's edition of Mark's Morning Monologue, the alternative accident playbook. Yeah, I'll leave that to your imagination for now. But before we do anything further, let's have a bit of this. Dan says, I know a couple who are now married. They were in America for 10 years and they came back millionaires. Fair play to them. They worked hard. And when they came back to Northern Ireland, they bought 4 properties. To this day, they don't hold employment. Fair play to them. Jim says, nothing wrong with capitalism. It's the seed of growth and progress. I agree. No, I totally agree. The one thing I would say about particularly Vegas, I mean, the whole of America in general, but the whole of Las Vegas it does feel, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not manipulative. It is, the word will come to me, but everything is geared towards literally extracting every last cent out of every person that visits the place. And listen, I'm sure that the tourist destinations around the world are exactly the same, but you actually feel it in the air there. It's a strange place. It is a strange place, even to the point where you see people begging on the street. You know, you've got these multi-billion-pound hotels and everything that goes with it, and you've got beggars on the street. Not like beggars we'd have in London or Manchester, but it just feels, I don't know, exploitative. I think there is a very, very big exploitation of the workforce. And a lot of that workforce is migrant labor, depending which hotel you stay in, but some more than others. But you stay in a hotel maybe like the Circus, and probably 95% of the staff there are either Mexican or Puerto Rican, and they are just about scraping a living, absolutely scraping a living, which is why they rely on tips. Paula Paula Fingernail. Okay, says hello. Loving the glasses. Thank you very much indeed. I'd be lost without them. Literally lost without them. The gap between the rich and the poor is bigger than the Grand Canyon. Yeah, listen. There is a book out there. There are documentaries on this about the people that are literally living under the ground. They go into a storm drain, and that's where they spend their nights. I think it was a New York Times reporter first made it public, and literally followed some people in there. And you imagine you're literally living in a storm drain that could flood. I mean, they don't get a huge amount of rain, but it could flood, and all your belongings could be swept away. And literally, 20 foot above your head is Caesar's Palace or the Bellagio, and that's your place of work. So you go from complete opulence and consumerism writ large to living in a drain. That's the reality. Now, somebody here says, really bloody meat. Says, good morning, Jim. I've been asked by my friend Tyler, who is also American, to go skinny dipping. I don't know what to do. What? What in God's name? I thought they were talking to Jim Turner. What in God's name is that? I think we have a weird interloper. Tyler is handsome, and I wouldn't mind seeing his pole. Things like that are the reason that I lock the door at night. Good morning, really bloody meat. Chris says, my late stepbrother had a really nasty experience in Vegas, woke up in a back alley after being drugged and missing his wallet. Yeah. You hear the tales. You do hear the tales. And I'm sure, I'm a Londoner. I know how cities work and stuff. But the strip of Las Vegas, as I say, it's where all the hotels and casinos are. It's opulent and it's expensive and everything else. But you've only got to go a street or two away, and yet the further you get from the strip, the more you sense unease. Like I go off in the morning while I'm at ConExpo and leave my wife and my youngest daughter to their own devices, and I'm quite happy to do so because I know they'll be safe. However, if they said we're going to venture off the strip and go somewhere else, I'd feel rather more concerned. Paula Fingernail, I had a relative who went underneath New York. I haven't heard from him in a long time. Hope he's okay. Me too. Dan laughing. What really bloody meat? What the sponge does that mean? I've no idea. Skinny dipping. Would you hang about with the big boys? Well, personally, I wouldn't. But listen, each to their own. Should we do some show now? 20 minutes in. John Deere. Let's talk about John Deere. This video, I think, is called Engineered in the Trenches, and it's quite good. Enjoy.
The fact that Deere sends a whole team out to check on these machines really speaks volumes to their desire to be the best.
The fact that Deere engineers are out here tells me that they're willing to spend the time and the money to get this right for all of us out there.
I think John Deere's KEG program is probably one of the best programs that I've ever been involved with.
With feedback from an operator straight to the engineers, it means that we get real results and we get them fast.
We've got people that are kind of specialized on different areas of the machine. If there's something that pops up that we need to fix, they're empowered just to go and work on those things.
That's the sweet thing about John Deere is here we have an opportunity as operators, me a lowly operator out of Montana, to give my opinion on how this thing is constructed. And I do feel like this machine's as much mine as theirs.
We follow those machines hour by hour, minute by minute to try and understand What kinds of things are our customers experiencing?
They're monitoring that all the time. They're constantly updating the machine to make it the best machine we possibly can.
This is 21st century R&D, real time, real world.
It's very hard to believe it could get any better than this.
How can you make a machine better than what the customer wants? It's the perfect marriage of builder and the end consumer.
This program has gotten a new machine completely off the ground with customer input, no middleman, no in between. It's straight from voice of customer directly to the engineers. And that to me means the world.
They are ready. They're ready to roll.
They've been tried, they've been put through the paces, and they are definitely ready for limited production.
Andy Thornton has just joined us. Morning, Andy. It's been quite a weird morning. It's not getting better. Our friend over on Twitch has just come back and said, good morning to you. Loving the stream. Just an update on my friend Tyler. He's asked me to do smelling salts with him and take a shower together. Okay. As a straight man, in brackets, not gay, I am considering it, but may not take him up on it. I've got to be honest, if you're actually considering it, personally, I'd be questioning just how straight I believe I am. But finishes up by saying, I love Vegas because the gambling is awesome. Thank you for that. I missed your speech from yesterday, but a very good read. Thank you very much indeed for that. Andy, I shall try to do better today. Dan says, oh my God, this has gone nuts. Yeah, it's kind of gone off at a tangent, hasn't it? I'll try and keep it back on track. Let's have a bit of this, and we'll try to avoid Tyler and his showering habits. Back after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Gary, that's very specific knowledge. It's not gays. It's not gay if the balls don't touch. Okay. And whatever he does, don't drop the soap. I think I may get this guy to actually pop in every once in a while just to liven things up a little bit. But thank you so much for that. Oh, hang on a minute. There's another thing there. There's now as queer as folk. Ain't that the truth? Right. Okay. Volvo. Taking the old, making it new, like Volvo can do. Have a look.
Hi there. My name's Chris Klein. I've been with Volvo Construction Equipment for 40 years now. I'm remarketing team lead. Remarketing, so what we have is what the process is. So we have machines that are coming back from lease. So these machines were out with dealers, leased out. So we bring them in here. The first step we do, and we'll bring that machine in, we'll bring it in and we'll take oil samples. We'll take it out, run it. We'll bring it in and we'll pull oil samples. So we'll pull out all the fluids out of it. Then we'll send that out for analysis, which helps us determine if we have any failed components within the machine. So once we get that done, and then we'll start our process with the 144 step process, the checkpoint. So we'll start in the cab and we'll work our way out of the cab and then down around the machine, and then we'll just document pictures, and then we'll type up a report. The guys will grab that machine. Normally they'll go over and start disassembling a lot of the fenders, pulling the hoods off, pulling any covers off, and then they'll bring it over to the steam bay. At that point they'll do a good steam, which normally takes, it could take a full day depending on the condition of the machine. They get that done, then they'll pull it back over in their bay, and then they'll continue with the service work, which means changing out the fluids and anything else that we need to do. And then they'll start on the inspection report, and they'll get down through and start repairing all the repairs on there, on the machine. So a little bit about the background of remarketing. It started back in April of 2022 with 2 individuals. Currently, right now, we're up to 16 individuals in the department. So normally, once they get some of the work off done, that machine will then go up to our paint shop. Them guys then will prep it. They'll do all the sanding work and prep the machine, and then they'll pull it into the paint booth, and that's where they will do the finished paint. Since we started back in April 22, we're up around 130 machines that we have certified through the remarketing department. And then once they're painted, then that machine returns to the guys, and then basically they're assembling the machine back together. All the small parts that they took off up front there, all that parts went up to the paint shop. All those parts were painted, so now we're into the assembly side of it. It comes back, and the guys basically will put the machine all back together, re-decal it, clean the cab, and then at that point it's done. And after that, then basically it comes back for the final inspection, where the inspector will go through the machine and make sure that everything has been repaired, all the decals are in place, that the cab is clean, everything is functioning. And then if we need to, we'll resample any fluids that we need to send out to verify that everything comes back normal.
Yeah, Dan has just said, wow, that's some great work. Yep, as good as new, if not slightly better. Dan also said this: have you that union email from yesterday? Can you send it to me to look into? Dan, I have the email. The email itself doesn't really say a lot. So what I've done, I've sent you a link to ACAS, which has got a complete rundown on all of this employment, what do they call it? Employment Rights Act for 2025, which does allow unions to enter your place of work basically as they see fit. So you have that. I sent it to you via WhatsApp about a minute ago. Should be with you by now. Let's have a bit of this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Thank you. I wonder, will that include self-employed too? I would imagine it will. I mean, you are considered an employee, even if it is indirectly. And I don't think there's anything to stop a self-employed person being unionized, is there? Certainly not as far as I know. Anywho, I think we all know. I love me an Incon. I love me a Hitachi. The two together, absolutely fantastic. But if you actually make the Hitachi black, this is a bit of a dream combo. Enjoy. Very smart. I think you'll agree. Somebody just popped into the chat. Who dat? It's Dan. Any machine in black looks the dogs, but I wonder, would it be hard to maintain and keep clean? It would, but it would be worth it, wouldn't it? Would be worth it. I think we've got one more film for you today, and then it's over into my morning monologue. So let's have a bit of this, and then I'll tell you about our next show. I'll tell you about our next video. Yeah, that video only gets one more outing. That'll be tomorrow. So, as you know, we're working with a bunch of collaborators while we're over in the States. Fun enough, Encon is one of them. We're working with a whole bunch, but one of the ones I'm most looking forward to meeting up with is a company called Xpanner. Xpanner actually, well, they're basically a tech company, and they work behind the scenes for a bunch of manufacturers, or with a bunch of manufacturers, including Bobcat. Some of the tech that's stitched into the Rogue X2 and the Rogue X3 models, the autonomous models, all electric and everything else, comes from Xpanner. This is what Xpanner are all about. I don't know why. I mean, I'm always impressed by autonomy and remote control and everything else. There's something about that. The fact that it's working with a tilt rotator. The system is smart enough to know to turn the bucket to the right place, right orientation to do the particular task. It's probably just me, but you think about the human brain and its ability to manipulate a tilt rotator. I'm going to dig that way and unload that way, and yeah, incredible stuff. Anyway, people, that will pretty much do us for today's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, please, please, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I hope to see you again very soon. Tomorrow would be good. Hang on a minute, just a very quick one. Thomas, Let's Go has just joined us over on Facebook. Morning, Thomas. Thank you for joining us. Where are you watching from, Thomas? Be interested to know. Yes, I'm going to jump into my morning monologue right now. Stick around if you would like to listen to that. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for the last show before all hell breaks loose at ConExpo. Back after this. Given the frequency with which they happen, you might think that the demolition and construction industry would have a well-defined protocol over what to do in the event of an on-site accident, that they'd consult a well-thumbed playbook, follow a well-trodden and clearly defined path. You might think that having called an ambulance, the next step would be to inform the injured person's next of kin, to bring them up to speed and to offer support, comfort and solace. You might also think that even as the victim's next of kin are coming to terms with the accident and its possible outcome, that the requisite authorities were being informed ahead of an investigation designed to ensure that the accident is never repeated. You might also think that the co-workers of the person You might think that the co-workers of the person injured would also be offered support, having just seen one of their friends and colleagues hurt, possibly in a very brutal fashion, that they would be given time to process what they just witnessed. And you might also think that the details of the accident, its cause and its outcome would be shared openly and transparently across the industry to ensure that no one else has to suffer a similar fate. You might think all of that, and you'd be right to do so. You are human after all. But as you've probably gathered by now, this is often not the case. Any of it. In fact, there's often a huge disparity between what should happen after an accident and what actually does happen. Let's start with that playbook. Chances are there is a set of instructions on what to do in the event of an accident. It may be pinned to the wall of the site office, or it's been copied and pasted into the back of the method statement, all of which is great. But in the aftermath of a site accident, bureaucracy and agreed protocols often give way to panic. Even the most well-oiled crew can quickly resemble a group of chickens with their heads cut off when one of their number is being carted away in an ambulance. Paramedics often arrive to a scene of chaos and confusion. Some even arrive to find their way blocked or the site gates locked. Valuable seconds or even minutes are lost while they gain access. The victim is bundled into an ambulance heading for the nearest hospital, at which point everyone realises that he or she has taken their mobile phone with them. No one knows their home phone number, the name of their spouse or their partner, or how to get hold of them. And even when they are tracked down, further problems arise. The person making that call is pumped full of adrenaline and has probably never been given any specific training on how to deliver this kind of bad news. So rather than offering support and comfort, they're just delivering terrible and shocking news in the worst possible way. That's assuming they deliver the correct news at all. I've heard at least one instance in which a spouse received a call to say their husband had been injured, when in truth, they were already deceased. Then there's the well-defined yet seemingly optional matter of informing the relevant authorities. A process that can vary wildly depending on the severity of the accident. There's no way to hide a body bag, and it's quite hard to conceal a 50-ton excavator that's toppled off a pile and is now lying on its side with its tracks in the air. Accidents of that nature generally get reported in the appropriate manner. Accidents of that nature generally get reported in the appropriate manner. Lesser accidents, however, are often weighed up. Do we report the incident and see our health and safety track record take a potentially damaging hit? Or do we try to keep it under wraps? Hand the injured person a check in return for their silence and their agreement not to pursue matters further. In an industry in which a squeaky clean health and safety record can make the difference between winning and losing a contract, the temptation to keep accidents on the down low is enormous. And if keeping an accident from the authorities is tempting, then keeping it from rivals and the wider industry is almost compulsory. Any thought that the incident might be used as a positive learning opportunity is quickly set aside in fear of giving rival companies a competitive advantage. Co-workers are encouraged or coerced into keeping the accident off social media, out of the newspaper, and away from the eyes and ears of the wider industry. In fact, rather than giving priority to the support of the workers who've just seen a colleague injured, precedence is given to securing their silence. While there should be a playbook on what to do in the event of an accident, it sometimes feels like there's an alternative one on what not to do. And all too often, it's that playbook that gets referred to first. And that playbook makes no mention of protocol or of humanity. Any duty of care is skewed. Any duty of care is skewed to the care for the employer rather than the injured employee and the colleagues that witnessed the accident. And all too often, the response is as primitive as it is cowardly. Hide the mess, hush the witnesses, and pray the silence lasts. Any of you lot ever been involved in an accident on site? I say involved. Have you ever witnessed one? Have you ever been involved in one? What was the response? I had a weird thought today, partly because I'd written that. And bizarrely, it didn't occur to me while I was writing it. As you know, I got a whack on the head. Won't bore you, but I got a whack on the head on a demolition site back in 2016. I was carted off in an ambulance, received a phone call from the MD of the company involved the following day telling me to make a claim against their insurance. That's what we've got insurance for. To this day, and bear in mind that's 10 years ago now, I've no idea whether they made a Riddle report about that. Doesn't matter anymore. I got my insurance payout. The company involved no longer exists. So that's all been swept under the carpet. But I've no idea whatsoever whether they actually made a Riddle report on my whack on the noggin. I've heard stories, and you know what this industry is like. Some of what you hear is true. Some of it is based in truth. Some of it is completely made up, but sounds plausible. I've heard stories of people being injured. Lump of concrete dropped on their foot, or crushed arm, or something like that, and they've been bunged a few quid to keep it on the down low. Don't make a big song and dance about it. We'll take care of it. Here's a brown envelope. I've also heard instances, again, maybe apocryphal tales, but I've heard instances of those people been injured, been told to keep quiet, they've kept it quiet, they've gone back to work at some point, and subsequently been killed on site. Would they have been killed had the proper protocols been abided by? I'm not blaming the system, although I do think it contributes. When you look at the weighting, the WEIGHT weighting of contracts, there's an allowance for how much it costs, how long it would take. Social value comes into it, but a part of it is given over to a health and safety record. So when a prospective client is comparing demolition contractors or groundworking contractors, construction companies, they can look at it and say, well, that one costs £100,000. That one also costs £100,000. That one's had no accidents in living memory. That one's had a couple. We should go with that one. That's the way it works. So your health and safety track record as a demolition contractor, especially subcontractor, carries significant weight. It can actually make the difference between you winning work and not winning work. So there is good reason, not acceptable reason, but there is good reason to keep any accidents, incidents, near misses on the down low. That's on the formal side of things. Then you've got the informal side of things. I can tell you, I've said this before on the show, and it will continue until I finally hang up my baseball cap. The way I hear about most incidents, accidents, fatalities, financial problems with companies, anything that's in any way gone wrong, I generally hear it from the company's nearest rival. If somebody has a machine go over, you can guarantee that their local rival will be down there with a mobile phone, click, send it to that Mark Anthony. He likes a bit of shit like this. And and it doesn't end there. When you go into bat for a project, and maybe you've got a pre-start walk around, or you're actually doing a pricing, so you're walking around the site with the representatives of the client. It's kind of tempting to say, yeah, you don't want to employ those buggers over there. I mean, they talk the talk and everything else, but they nearly killed somebody 2 weeks ago, and that will be used against you, used as the stick to beat you with. So again, there is an ever-present temptation to keep incidents and accidents absolutely under wraps, to the point now. I can't claim that I have my finger on the pulse of every single demolition contractor here or overseas. Nobody has that. But I'm still shocked this many years in, so 38, 39 years into this job, I'm still shocked by the fact that I get reports across my desk from the health and safety executive who have investigated and prosecuted an accident involving a company that I believe I know well, that I've got good relationships with, and I know their local rivals, and I know what they're up to, and yet an accident investigation and prosecution comes completely out of left field. Now, sometimes it's because the investigation has taken so long. So you look at it, I don't even remember that. And I check back, that makes sense. But the number of times I'll get an HSE report that comes through, Fred Blogg's Demolition has been prosecuted for the near fatal accident. I don't remember that. Look back. No record of it whatsoever. That's not because I'm asleep at the wheel. Happens, but not because I'm asleep at the wheel. It happens because somebody has taken the decision to keep that on the down low. What have we got in the chat? Dan says, I also know of a guy I spoke to, been paid to stay at home, not claim. When he was ready to come back to work, he was sacked the night before. I think you only have that 24 hours to report if you want to make a claim, as it has to be in an account in the accident book. I don't know the answer on that. I don't know. I mean, I will be with some proper experts in all things demolition on Friday this week. I'll ask the question. But bearing in, that's one of the things that I find quite strange, is that there is a paper trail, even if people don't believe there is a paper trail. For example, I was given word probably 6 months ago, maybe even more than that, but I was given a heads up to say that there'd been an accident on a site involving a particular demolition contractor. I phoned them up. They refused to speak to me, denied all knowledge of any such accident. And I was sat there thinking, well, I'm not being wound up here. Something has definitely happened. So I phoned the ambulance service and said, sorry, I realise this is an interruption that you could probably do without, but I'm hearing word that you picked up an injured person at this site at this time. Is there any truth in that? Yes, we did. Not fatal, but yeah, quite serious, life-threatening and everything else. Oh, thank you. So that record exists. Doesn't matter how hard you backpedal and how hard you work to keep that under wraps, sweep it under the carpet. It's there. Only takes somebody to go and have a look for it. What have we got here? Connor's School Bus 25. Haven't seen you for a while. Back here in the southeastern US, a historical race way GPS Greenville Pickens Speedway is in danger of being torn down for an industrial park. Locals are not happy. See, I'm oddly torn with that. On the one hand, like me a bit of Demolition. On the other hand, I know how I felt when the ground that used to be the home of my favourite football team, and that's a soccer team to you, school bus, Connor's School Bus. A soccer team. Their stadium was torn down some years ago. Broke my heart. I have a piece of it here, but it broke my heart. So yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what they're planning to replace it with. If they're planning to replace it with a better speedway, maybe not such a bad thing. If they're planning to replace it with an ice detention centre, right to be up in arms, I would suggest. And I'm coming to your part of the world. Well, sort of your part of the world. I'm coming to Vegas next week. Connor's School Bus 25. I'm sure our paths won't cross, but just look out for this grizzled old face if you happen to be in Vegas next week. And I'll buy you a cup of coffee or something. How about that? Right, people, that will probably do us. The beard has got a little unruly, and because I'm at an event on Friday, and because I'm going away, I'm going to get this all sorted out. So I should look all windswept and interesting tomorrow. Or something. Let's have a look. Connor School Bus says that was where the 1971 Greenville 200 was hosted, the first ever to start to finish NASCAR race to be televised nationally. See, I don't know if you're aware of this. But we don't understand NASCAR. We don't get television coverage of it. We're blissfully unaware. Also in Vegas, an implosion will happen on March the 5th at 2 a.m. Boulder Highway, East Side Cannery. Now, bearing in mind I will be severely jet lagged and my day normally starts at 4, I wonder if I can get myself along to the Boulder Highway East Side Cannery. Thank you for the heads up. I'll have a look at that. Dan saying, have a great day, Alton. Stay safe. Yes, please do stay safe. Stay safe because if anything happens to you, we might not be told about it. Until tomorrow, people, go and have a fantastic day. I'll see you then for yet more of the same. Until then, have a good one. All the best.